ladies. So when I said last video that I was going to do a book haul sharing all the books I'd gotten that Christmas and just that I hadn't shared last year, I thought 5 maybe. And well, it turns out this book haul is a little bit more overdue than I initially thought. So let's go ahead and go through these. But before that, really quick, I want to share a couple cover reveals that came out last week. We have this one for the Sacrificed Heart series. It's a multi-author series. It's fantasy romance. They're all clean and no spice or anything. And here's like the collected, just all the books in the series. And they'll be releasing one at a time in the spring. And then we have Of Oceans and Pearls by Renee Knight, and here's the cover. It's a pirate story, so I'm already intrigued. Love pirate stories. So we have those two that came out last week. If you're interested in either of those, I have my blog links that have more detailed information for pre-order links and author links and everything in the description. So make sure you check those out if you are interested. And the funny thing, this isn't even on the books because I just remembered the next ship home, which I'm just selling on eBay. I didn't like it. I didn't even put it on Goodreads that I was reading it. I DNF'd it like within like the first 10 pages, so I didn't even think it was worth mentioning. So I'm just going to start from the top and go down there. So we have this one, which is Double Identity by Margaret Peterson Haddix. Haddix was one of my favorite authors from the beginning. My 4th grade teacher read Among the Hidden to us, and from then on, I think that's what really got me into the suspense thrillers, tons of plot twists, and just on the edge of your seat. I haven't read this in ages. I got it from the library like back in, goodness, like middle school days, and I'd read it every so often, so I haven't read it in forever. I actually already started it, as you can tell by the bookmark. So I haven't read it in a while though, but I'm excited. So that was from my sister from Christmas. And then Hideout by Watt Key. I read another one of his books, Deep Water, which was really good. You know, there were some things I didn't like about it, but overall it was an enjoyable read. Read it all in one single day, which is not the norm for me. This takes place in Mississippi, in the swamps and the bayous. And apparently there's a dead body somewhere hidden out in the swamplands, and this little boy wants to go find it, and in the process he runs across this other boy who's like living out there in this abandoned house. I've been wanting to read this forever. Hatchet by Gary Paulson. Got this at Walmart, had like $7, and I was like, I'm getting this. So I started like the first couple pages, but it was in December and I had my weird reading mood. Like I didn't really want to read, but I just read. It was weird. So I'm excited to finally get into this, and it's going to be awesome. This kid's on his way to visit his dad, and a plane crashes, and he's left alone in the Canadian wilderness with nothing but a tattered windbreaker and a hatchet. This was an interesting find. Julie and the Wolves. I haven't read it, but I'm going to, by Jean Craig Hedgeord. Wow! I didn't even realize that until I didn't even notice who the author was. It's the same one who wrote My Side of the Mountain, which I loved that book. Wow, I'm really intrigued to read this now. I got this at Goodwill on one of our sourcing trips for my eBay store, and I saw it like a book, and it's like, I'm here, go ahead and buy it. So now I'm really excited to read this. I didn't even realize that. Setting is Alaska, and honestly, I didn't even read the back, so I'd have to actually read it to skim it to tell you. So, and then I bought Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. That was the same trip when I bought The Next Ship Home. This was like $7.99. I love a discount book, I don't know if I want to save it for just fall, or one of the things I really want to do in 2024. I mentioned this in a blog post that I want my reading to be meaningful. I'm only reading 50 books. Well, that's my Goodreads goal, 50. Last year I did 100, and I felt like I was racing to finish that goal to just get a bunch of books in. But I want to read books that I actually want to read, and along with that, I don't want to save, if I see a Christmas book that I want to read in the middle of May, I'm going to read that Christmas book. So I don't think I'm going to save it for the fall, because then when fall comes around, I may not want to read it. Or I may have a bunch of other things and just not get around to it. So that's one of the ways I'm going to try to make reading more meaningful, is just reading what I want to read, when I want to read it. And if by the second chapter, if I haven't been able to get into the book or I just have no interest, I'm gonna DNF it. And I'm just gonna move on because life is too short. And I actually did read this one. I reviewed it in the last book, City of Orphans by Ave. I still don't know how to say his name. I got this at Half Price Books months ago. I'm gonna say back in the fall. And I loved it. It was fantastic. And then this was a purchase at BAM, A Night Divided by Jennifer A. Nielsen. Yeah, it's gonna be good. So I need to read this. Yeah, gonna read it eventually. It's on my list. And this was another sourcing event. I actually did buy this with intentions to sell it. It is North or Be Eaten by Andrew Peterson, and it is book 2 of the Wing Feather saga. I like saga better. And I haven't read book 1, but I want to say, if memory serves, I have some Goodreads buddies who really like this series. I could be totally wrong. I could be thinking of another series, but I was like, you know what? It's like a book. I'm gonna grab it. That way, at least I'm ready. And look how intense that is. So yeah, first they found themselves on the edge of the dark sea of darkness. First they found themselves on the edge of the dark sea of darkness. Now they must make their way north or be eaten. So yeah, I'm intrigued. Okay, now this one I got for Christmas. It's Once Upon a Time Travel. If you don't know, I am a huge enthusiastic person about time travel. I firmly believe time travel is real, and it is not only real, but it is going on right now. So time travel is cool. From the looks of it, I think it is a indie or self-published book because, you know, Amazon, I just know that back, you know, because that's how my books look like. And it's signed, which is really cool. I've never read anything by this author, and so I have no idea what to expect. Like, zilch, nothing. So, I do plan on giving this a try, reading it, seeing how it goes, and yeah, that's all I gotta say about that one. This was a Half Price Books purchase, Salt to the Sea. Can I just be honest right now? There are some books you buy for the content, and you're like, oh, I can't wait to read this. I may or may not have solely bought this for the cover. The lifeboat, the ocean, it looks so icy and cold and like wintry. Yeah, that's why I bought it. Winter 1945, 4 teenagers, 4 secrets. Now, this was my most recent purchase. Actually, my sister bought it for me. But Falling Out of Time by Haddix. And this is the long-awaited companion to Running Out of Time, which is one of my earliest, not the earliest, but an early introduction to this author. The first was Among the Hidden, but then I read that and loved it. And honestly, it's been forever since I read Running Out of Time, so I don't remember if I thought there should have been a sequel or if I was ever like, I wonder what happens next. Because I think back then I just kind of devoured the book and moved on. I still kind of do that. But I am so interested. And that will conclude my very long overdue book haul. 11 books, which I didn't think there were that many. But you know what? The more the merrier, right? Reminder, covers for the books, the series, and then of Oceans and Pearls. I have all the information down below in the description. I have a link to my blog where I have like the pre-order links about the authors, where you can like check them out more in depth if you're intrigued. So if you're interested, do that. And yes, of course, those were last week, so the cover is already out there. Books won't release until like starting in the spring, around March, and then going through April. That will go ahead and do it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you. So you all have a wonderful, blessed day, and until next time, happy reading.